programming basics. And for today, we're going to discuss about the conditional statements. But before that, let us recall what you have learned about programming.
Programming is technically the science that deals with the analysis, developing, understanding, and generating algorithms, testing and implementation of a computer problem to be executed into a computer program. Simply put, the creation of computer programs to help in the improvement of human lifestyles. For example, we need to solve and calculate a mathematical equation. We can use a program to simplify the work and solve it accurately.
And now that you have recalled your past knowledge about programming, let us go towards the next topic in programming, the conditional statements. It is alternatively referred to as conditional expressions and conditional processing. It is a set of rules performed if a certain condition is met. So currently there are five types of conditional statements. There's the if, the if-else, if-else-if-else, the nested if statements, and then the select case statements.
If statements are conditional statements that use the format of if, then. When one variable is inputted to the text box, the program will check for condition in the if statements. If it is satisfied, an output shall be executed.
To start off, let us first input the word if. Then type in the condition you want to have. Let's say with our variable input is greater than 200. Then type in the word then. After that, once you have typed that, or you have written that on your workspace, type in the output that you want. Let's say message box hello. Then do not forget to type in the words and if to end the if statement. Now let's start that. So we have this. Type in the number 234, which is greater than 200, as you can see. Then click the button for launch. Hello. And that is for the if statement. What about the other types of statements?
If-else statements work the same as if-then statements. However, it allows the user to show an output for any variable that does not satisfy any of the conditions given.
And now, let us have the if-else statement. That works like an if-then statement, but it has the addition of the else word. So let us use our previous application. So let us have else. Then we have message box invalid. Now let us test it. See what will happen. Let's input the number 213. You'll get the output. Yes, it will be hello, since it is set in the condition that it is input greater than 200. Now what if we input something that is less than 200? 99, for example. There's the word invalid. How is it so? Because the variable is less than 200, then therefore the variable does not satisfy the condition. So it will move on towards the else part of the statement. And since it is part of the else part of the statement, it will show the result or the end result or the output of invalid. As you can see here, message box invalid. So basically what if-else statements mean, or if-else statement means, is that whenever that variable does not satisfy the condition given in the earlier if statement or the earlier if-then statement, it will try to find for more if-then statements. Otherwise, it will go towards the else part of the statement in which it will succumb, or it will cover all of the variables that are not part of the range of the condition, and therefore the output would be invalid.
If-ELSEIF-ELSE statements can be used to apply two or more conditions for the variables inputted. If the first if statement is false for the variable, the program will move on to the next if statement. Hence the word else if.
And now, let us have the if-ELSEIF-ELSE statement. So let us still use the previous application. So we have, if input is greater than 200, then message box, hello, this is your output and this is your condition. But what if we want to put more conditions into that if statement? Say hello to else if. So now let us have the else if input is greater than 90 and input is less than 100, then we can input one more output. So let us have message box, let us say sayonara or sayonara. Then we want more if statements, because let's think, what if the first if statement fails? What if the next one fails? So that we can have a backup, let us have more else if statements. So let us have another else if input is greater than or equal to 50 and input is less than or equal to, let's say, 70, then message box Jeremy. There we go. And now let's try to test it. As you can see, just like before, we have the output of hello when we input something that is more than or greater than 200. Now let's test it on 98, which is within the range of 90 or 91 to 99. Sayonara. As you can see, the input or the range within the second else if statement shows that the input, when it is around 91, since it is not equal to 90, and it is within the range of 91 to 99, since it is not equal to 90 nor 100, as you can see, the output would be sayonara. Let's test it on 50. Jeremy. That will be the output. As you can see, as we have stated on the third else if statement, the input should be greater than or equal to 50 and the input should be less than or equal to 70, so that we can have Jeremy as the output. Now since we have seen that the third else if statement accepts the variable 50, if we input it, if we insert that or type in the number 50 in our input text box, then we can have Jeremy as the output.
Sometimes we want to specify or further narrow down the conditions already specified. If statements can be inserted inside other if statements. This is what we call the nested if statements.
And now, what if we want more conditions within that other condition? What if we want to narrow down or to specify even more, what does that certain thing have to? Or what if we want more conditions within that certain condition? Say hello to the nested if statements. Basically, it just means if statements within an if statement. No kidding. I really mean it. It is basically an if statement within an if statement. Oh, so alright then. Let's have the nested if statements now. So we type in if. Remember, if statements that are inside other if statements are called nested if statements. So what it basically means is it is a condition within another condition. So let us have if input is equal to 210, then we have LBL output.text to show us the output of surprise. Next, let us have another else if statement, or another if statement, in the form of an else if. So let us have else if input is equal to 390, then LBL output shall show us the output of IF-ELSEIF-ELSE. Basically, this is called a nested if statement, since this if statement is within this if statement is within another if statement. Alrighty then, let's start it. So as you can see, if we input 210, which is greater than 200, as you can see in the first condition, we're going to have message box hello. However, due to the nested if statement's existence, we have input is equal to 210, and since the variable we just inputted from the text box satisfies this very condition, then therefore we will also have another output, which is this one. We're going to have another output of surprise in LBL output.text. Now what if we put it 391? It will just show us hello. Since 391 does not satisfy any of these if statements, as you can see, nothing changed. These if statements or these conditions were not satisfied when I inputted the number 391, since we do not see any 391 within these if statements, or this nested if statement. Now what if we deduct 1? What if we inputted 390, which satisfies this very condition? We have hello, since it is greater than 200, as you can see. And then we're going to have IF-ELSEIF-ELSE as the label or LBL output.text's display output. And basically that's how nested if statements work. The select case statements. These kinds of statements are similar to if, else, if, then statements, or any kind of if statement. But in this case, you're going to use the words case within the statements instead of using other words such as if, then, else if, and so on. Now basically, select case or the select case statements are quite similar to if, then statements. However, instead of using if and else if or then or else, we use the word case, case else, and other words that we may use for the select case statement. And now, let us have the last type of conditional statement, for this topic at least, the select case statement. Basically, what the select case statement actually tries to say is that it is like an improved version of an if statement. It is a good alternative for the if statement, yet you can still use the if statement whenever you like it. Basically, the select case statement is another form of if statement or if then statement or if-else statement. Nevertheless, the select case statement acts differently. Here's why. So let us have select case. First, you need to input select case. Then input the variables you want to have. There we go. Remember to put in the two words select case, then input the variables, or input the assumpted or the assumed variables for the input of the data. Then we have case is case pertaining to if. It's like an if for an if-then statement. Then is a keyword to imply that it basically means the input or the variables said or announced or declared within the first select case part. This one. Simply is pertains to the input. Then let us have case is greater than 200. We no longer need to put in the then. Alright? We no longer need to put in the then. Then let us have message box is equal to hello. This is your output. Notice the difference between the if statement, the original if statements, and the select case statements. This portion of the select case statement. For the select case statement, it's easier to use and it's simpler to use than having to type lots and lots of text into it, into the workspace area. So basically, it's like it's gonna make your life easier as a programmer. It's like a shortcut. Next, instead of inputting else if, we can just input case. It's like case number 1 is greater than 200. It's like case number 1, if input is greater than 200, blah blah blah. Then case number 2 instead of else if. Case number 2, if input is blah 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 blah, then this. That's what case practically means. It's like this is case number 1, this is case number 1, and this is case number 2, basically. Alright? So let's do it again. Case is, well, basically, actually you can case is greater than or equal to 90 and is less than or equal to 100. This is a common error. This is a common error for most programmers. Do not get confused. This is a common error. Booleans or Boolean expressions like and, or not are not accepted within the select case statements. So basically this one is incorrect. Let's change that. Instead of putting in the and doing the things like, for example, if you're trying to put in a range, for example, it's around in the range of less than 100 but greater than 90. Basically, you're just going to input 91 since it is greater than 90, 2, up until, it's like that, to 99, which is less than 100. That is acceptable. The word to pertaining to the range. So basically it's from this number to that number. So let us have message box. Output is sayonara. Then let us have another case. Case 50 to 70, since we have in the earlier or the previous if-else-if statements that it is greater than or equal to 50 but is less than or equal to 70. Remember that? Just a few minutes ago? Then input your output. That will be Jeremy. Then let us have the last case. Case else. Instead of inputting else, just like in the if-else statements, we input case else. In the case that nothing or none of these conditions are satisfied, you're going to do this. That's what case else means. It's like else with the addition of a case. So let us have message box invalid. there we go. This is a simple select case statement. Do not forget to end the select case statement by inputting end select, or if it is manual, or if it is not automatic. If it is automatic, then wow, you have an advanced computer like me. Anywho, we can also input nested select case statements, just like in nested if statement. So let's have case select case input. Since input is the input variable, then let us have case 210. Basically what it means is that it basically means if case 210, alright, if input is case 210, or if input is 210, or is equal to 210, what does it mean? Yeah, case is, it basically means input is greater than or 200. You can input here instead of using the keyword is. But if you're a lazy poke, or there's just way too many variables, or you're going to add way too many conditions, you can just use the keyword is. This means the case 210 means if input is 210 or is equal to 210. So let's have message box. That'll be LBL output dot text. Oh wait. Let us have LBL output dot text. So let us have LBL output dot text is equal to let's say surprise. Then let us add another case, case 390, with LBL output dot text is equal to Arzel XD. Do not forget to input the end select portion. Now let us see. Let's test it out. Alright then. Alright, so let us input the variable 210. Let's see if it's the same with the nested if statements and the other statements we just discussed previously. So we have hello as the output, and also surprise as the LBL output.text output. Let's try 390. We have that same hello, and we have Arzel XD. And those were the different types of conditional statements and how to apply them. I hope you've learned something for today. For suggestions and inquiries, please let us know in the comment section down below. Once again, thank you, and have a good day.